The iconic Chrysler Building in New York, built in 1930. The quintessential flapper dresses, the popular cloche hats. Different creative genres, one design revolution. Art Deco.
Art Deco has a very organic power, which a kind of energy which lends to your pen, and you can play around with shapes and dimensions, which is really very exciting. It brought a lot of interesting sensuality. It was not the same static society. It was society of speed. It was a society of free thinking. It challenged in a way the feudal system.
Set against the backdrop of the Roaring '20s, post the First World War, the United States and Europe were in recovery mode. That's when Art Deco came in and flourished. The style statement: sharper, classier, modern, reflected and defined through various spaces. Architecture the most prominent. That was Art Deco then, in the West. In India, the Maharajas and royals were the early and biggest patrons of the movement. They got architects from abroad to design their palaces, like Maharaja Yashwantrao Holkar's Manik Bagh Palace in Indore. Built and furnished by German architect Eckhard Matthias in 1930. Geometric shapes all around, from the furniture to the light fixtures. Even Jodhpur's Umaid Bhavan Palace, built in 1929, is among the early embracers of the Art Deco style of architecture and interiors. Evident in the design of the expansive floor tiles and the arches.
India is overflowing with Art Deco.
Indeed, the royal palaces are one part of the Indian Art Deco story. Buildings, both residential and commercial, cinema theatres and opera houses, welcome this easy yet flamboyant style of architecture with open arms. And not anywhere else but here in Mumbai, which is said to be only second to Miami to house the largest cluster of Art Deco style of buildings. And the one that you see in my backdrop, Sona Mahal, is among the first to have come up on Marine Drive. That's the famous Queen's Necklace by night.
Buildings in Mumbai's Marine Drive were built simultaneously, and that's why a cluster of them look alike. Smattered with elements of Art Deco, the rounded balconies, the crown-like structure on top of the building, and the architectural lettering.
Buildings were actually designed to have as much of ornamentation as possible, embellishment as we call it. So architects found it very easy to work with it. Also then the cinemas were constructed, like Regal, and Regal was probably the first, Regal, Metro and then Eros. They were also all built in the Art Deco style. The buildings had to be as flamboyant as possible to attract people.
In his book, Bombay From Precincts to Sprawl, Kamu Iyer details how Art Deco in architecture was always meant to cater to an elite aspirational society. It represented the New India, depicted in commercial buildings like New India Assurance or educational institutes like the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan that adorned the style. Iyer calls it a phase, one that helped transit from Gothic to modern architecture that took over in 1940. Simultaneously, Art Deco trickled down to furniture, streamlined and functional, yet elegant, curvilinear shapes using wood, mirror and glass, usually created as a one-off, making it expensive and exclusive. Today, restorers like Mahindra Doshi and Associates refurbish and resell Art Deco furniture, from huge industrial lamps to sofa sets in cedar wood or a bar counter like this one. You could easily pick one of these to add a dash of the 20s to your modern day interiors.
It is one of the very few periods, or probably the only period of design that embraced technology. I mean, if the interior is dark and minimal, then even like, you know, one or two pieces of Art Deco furniture, because they're styled and have certain kind of ornamentation, would accentuate a space.
Yes, like these pieces we found at Pinakin. Center and side tables with Art Deco detailing on the legs. Just one of these is enough to lift your living space. But if minimalism is where it's at, consider having an Art Deco style mirror or even fabric with an Art Deco motif on curtains, rugs or maybe cushions. Talking of fabric, Art Deco as a movement inspired designers to think out of the box. It was an explosion of exuberance for women, giving way to an unabashed style of dressing.
It was new, it was refreshing. There was some of the greatest artists sort of creating fantastic, dictionary of design at that point. It really was the big roar of design worldwide, at that point, especially in Europe.
Design houses like Chanel and Patou set the trends, and Hollywood fashionistas made them acceptable.
No matter what I do and whatever my inspiration is, I'll definitely be looking at the Art Deco period.
Sunit's latest collection, a tribute to jazz lady Josephine Baker, revisited the period with flapper dresses with beaded tassels and asymmetrical hemlines. Ritu Kumar showcased her love for Art Deco with her 2013 Spring-Summer collection. Cape dresses, jumpsuits with bold patterns, and zigzag printed kaftans with hair brooches and feather accessories to complete the period look. Younger designers like Nachiket Barve too have taken a shine to the Art Deco period with these tile-like embroidery on blouses and shift dresses for the girl of the 20s living in the 21st century. And there are others waiting to be inspired.
It provides as a source of inspiration to me all the time. So yeah, at a subconscious level for sure. Not consciously, not yet, but maybe someday, yes.
It is an era you can't ignore, for it remains relevant. The oversized pearls, the big chokers and the colored stones, like in the 2013 film The Great Gatsby. With his recent collection, Sunit forayed into jewelry, and this too is inspired by the Art Deco era. A choker with flowers and filigree and strings of pearls running across the arms, typical of the period. Then there is designer Beena Goenka's 1920s collection that comes out strong with exquisite necklaces like this one, the Cleopatra Revisited.
It was all over the top. All the simplistic part about jewelry went away. I've gone back into history in such a big way and taken that and put it together with the 1920 look, which today now India is in. They're actually enjoying that phase where they don't feel, they're unabashed about looking good.
Also in jewelry, brooches and headgear were big. In fact, they're a great way to take a little dive into the era. It's an era far from becoming extinct. Until of course another big art revolution comes along, all set to take on the challenge.